I created an alt account to make a prank, and when I saw the Realm Reborn title screen, I felt some sort of nostalgia. And then it hit me. I've been playing for a year now, and this title screen is where it all began. So I've actually briefly talked about my experience of Final Fantasy in my 1000 hours video. In making this video I was scared that I'd repeat basically what I was saying, but then again, that video is from 3 months ago and it didn't have this 6.2 update in which changed the game for me quite a lot. But before we can get into that, let's go right to the beginning, 1 year ago, when I was a free trial on my PlayStation. When I created my character, I chose to be a LALAFELL archer. I chose archer because it's what I always think I will be in an RPG setting. When it came to the story, I actually started playing this game with a friend of mine telling me that a Realm Reborn is just another generic hero story, which quite frankly, I don't even know what that means, and it doesn't even matter what it means because I really love the Realm Reborn. Even though I'd still say it is the weakest story of the entire game, a Realm Reborn introduced me to this world and it had some goofy ass cutscenes. But all jokes aside, me and some friends will always say that a Realm Reborn is the part of the story that is world building. You get introduced to the science and you meet each of the city-state's leaders. But even as you defeat the evil at the end of a Realm Reborn, it didn't feel satisfying to me, because I wasn't that attached to the characters and world yet. It was in the end of the post-story of a Realm Reborn that really got me hooked to the story and the way it set up Heavensward's story. It is truly something I'll never forget. Before we start talking about the expansions of the game, what did I feel about the gameplay of the game? When I first started in the game, I mostly only really pressed 3 to 5 buttons from what I remember, repeatedly. And that much didn't even change in the bot stone. You can hear me rant about Barda in a previous video of mine, but what made the gameplay of Realm Reborn fun was honestly the alliance raid, the extreme trials, and UCUP. I am really happy that they made the alliance raid obligatory in the MSQ, not only because the storyline from the raid plays a major part later down the line, but also because it was an introduction to a piece of content with 24 players, and honestly, the mechanics of the raids are hit or miss. Some of the mechanics are just outright boring, like the first boss in the raid is you killing the same monster 3 times because it keeps respawning. The fun mechanics is where it's really easy to just screw up, like the boss where you have to go on a platform to form a wall, the dog boss because of the chains and the stomach mechanic, and the final boss of the raid series because it is so easy to troll your friends. The extreme trials were so much fun the first time I did them. I've done all the extreme for my Realm Reborn and synced through Duty Finder somehow. And that was the funniest time I had when I started playing the game. It was super difficult, yet really fun learning the mechanics with some friends mixed with some randoms. And finally, UCUP. UCUP on Synced is so hard that I haven't even finished them all. It is so difficult that I spent several months just clearing one of the turns as I've talked about in a video. But it's because it is so difficult that I love it. I love having a difficult fight that takes a while to figure out because it is all about teamwork and coordination. And it's just what I love, cause it really brings people together and takes their strengths together. Talking about strengths, let's talk about the strength of the expansions. So I think I love what they did with Heavensward and Stormblood is that they started to heavily focus on the science character development in some sort of way, while that development being a major part of the world events that's happening in the expansions. Like how we see Alphonse being all reflective with himself in Ishgard and realizes his reason as to why he joined us, the science, and uses that new resolve to help us with the problem that's ongoing throughout the Heavensward expansion. At least that is how I remember it. It's been a long time so I might remember wrong, but I feel like Alphonse reflected on his action with what happened in Realm Reborn a lot at the beginning of Heavensward. And then they did that again with Stormblood, with another scion, meanwhile we're getting to know a bit more about the Garlean Empire. Shadowbringers being a bit different with reasons I won't name, but it just kind of focuses on the rest of the science, but the development I liked the most was Thancred. To me, he really stole the spotlight at Shadowbringers. And Endwalker, being the end of the current saga, developing everyone as their own character a bit more, defining them as to say. Even though one of them is missing from the Endwalker art for some reason, with each expansion coming out, I got more and more invested into the world and the story of Final Fantasy. Which just made Endwalker such a hard-hitting expansion to go through, because it truly felt like the ending of a big journey, and the last walk of the journey in Endwalker was a bit flawed, but yet beautiful. Endwalker was so good to me that at some point, something just hit so hard to me that I legit started crying so much, I had to go to my friends to like feel better, and then sleep, and then I could continue the next day because, oh my god, Endwalker hit me hard. But other than story, each expansion of course added something new. New jobs, new game modes like Heaven on High, new world areas and new job actions. Which I gotta ask, was I the only one who was concerned with the job actions for Endwalker? I already felt like the classes I played had a lot of buttons to press, but luckily the classes I played got just the perfect amount in my opinion, and they're my favorite actions to use, except for the shitty new Bard song, you can literally go away. Also, since we're on the topic of classes and jobs in this game, I found it really awesome to see that each class and job has a questline. I even really enjoy the questlines a lot, even as much as I hate to do them. And the reason why I hate job quests is because I find it really annoying that they have spells, abilities, and traits locked behind them. I will understand it with the starting classes, because it feels like you're actually learning it from them. They're the people who taught you to do what you do after all. But with the jobs, I just wish they didn't have it, because it feels like a personal journey and kind of feels a bit disconnected from the job questline. But maybe I'm also only feeling this because the entire Red Mage questline from 60 to 70 only rewards you with one trait, which is at the very end. That's so annoying considering I'm a level 90 Red Mage. But I get that this game is very story driven, which I actually really enjoyed because I haven't been experiencing a JRPG story in a very long time, and with the heavy storyline being mixed with the social aspect of an MMO, I think those two complement each other pretty well. Healing in this game can be so nice. There's a lot of social interaction going on in the game. As I've talked about before, I wish there was more social interaction in the open world zones, but there's quite literally almost no reason to go outside of a city unless you're doing it for a quest, fate, or gathering. Which is a bit sad because the world in this game is really beautiful, but in the cities, it's wild, y'all. There's so many random events that can just happen, and you will have no idea why. I've seen people just stay in city multiple times just to listen to some bards perform. I've seen custom glam gathering, and of course I met my friends by practically just staying in one place all the time. But with that being said, I think that there's actually not a lot in Final Fantasy that encourages socializing. I've always felt like I've taken the initiative when it comes to socializing, and that's something that has happened because the game nudged me to do so. Like whenever I've been in a party finder, we only talk about what we are gonna do and nothing else. After that, everyone leaves. The only time I truly feel like the game has been able to gather people together is in the leveling zones, Eureka, Boshan, Satnor, and Hunt Trains, which is a big group that'll go on a streak with killing hunt mobs. And that's literally because it's on a large zone, and you cannot do these things on your own. So you have to group up with people and do it together. That's the one time I feel like the game is actually managing at pulling people together. But even so, how will anyone be able to figure out how to join these without having anyone to tell you about it? But the cool thing about it is that even though the game doesn't have a way to encourage socializing, people are still very social in this game. Like sometimes people will just start talking to you and it'll eventually lead to a friendship that lasts, because you guys will connect through your love and interest for the game, or maybe even some other stuff down the line. I for one have made friends because of it, and I've always just made friends by giving them a helping hand with anything, and they'll always remember me. There's actually a friend of mine who I met when they just started the game, and whenever we run into each other we always greet each other and talk for a bit, and they said the sweetest thing to me some time ago. They legit told me they'll never forget me because I was the first person to talk to them in the game and help them fall in love with this game, and a connection like that is just so sweet. And it's very true. They literally attune to the FFXIV and I talk with them, asking them questions like, why did you play this game? Blah blah blah. And then I gave them free stuff because I love doing that to new players. I really want to give them a warm welcome, and I'm really happy that this person in particular really appreciated that. And I gotta admit that that's definitely the best thing I've gotten out of this game. The memories, the new connections, and the friendships, which even goes months back. It's just really amazing. And as I've said before, the friendship I made in Final Fantasy also goes out of the game now, and it's still like that, which really makes me happy, because I started on this journey alone, but going on forward I'll most likely still have my friends around, and I couldn't ask for it to be any other way. We've been through a lot, not a lot of bad things, just a lot of things. I kind of feel like my social life in this game follows the traumatic structure. At the beginning I was alone, nothing much going on, and then I met my friends, slowly built up to its peak, and then after that climax, everything became how it is now, which is great, because it's pretty much chill now. But just because my life is chill doesn't mean I am. And by that I mean I finally started doing real in-game content. And by that I mean I finally started doing in-game content. Like, no more extreme, no more Unreal, I'm doing Savage, baby. So back in 6.1 I actually dipped my toes into doing P1S when it was the current Savage tier, which is obvious because it was 6.1. And I watched a guide so many times and I was really scared I wouldn't perform well. And I said, screw it. I just went into a party finder, tried it a bit, dragged my friend Edgy into it, and we did it together in like a night, I think. I think it took me 2 nights, but Edgy pretty much did it on his first night. And did he? I can't remember. I think it actually took him 2 nights too. I just remember like doing it with Edgy, being confused at how difficult it was, and especially because Edgy was so confused at certain mechanics, so I had to call mechanics out for both me and him. It was crazy, but I felt like I got doing it, because it was like, holy shit, I did my own mechanics and calling out his mechanics. So I was basically doing 2 mechanics at once, Okay, not two mechanics, but you know what I mean. I was basically like calling out for two people because I had to call out for myself. But yeah, after we struggled so much, we finally got it clear, and oh my god, it felt so good for like trying so hard on it and finally getting it clear. It felt so satisfying, and that's exactly why I wanted to do Savage in the first place. So after me and Edgy we finished P1S, we eventually tried to do P2S, and that's when we actually got into a static. And with the static, we actually got to clear P2S, P1S together because some static members needed to do it, and we eventually got halfway through P3S. And I said earlier in this video that 6.2, the newest update, actually changed the game for me, and that's because with this new static, we're doing the current Savage tier raid every weekend, and I always look forward to it. It's kinda like the highlight of my week, because I just love raiding with my static so much, because I was really scared that getting into a static, I will be around people that will like be really toxic or like really try hard or really judgy about certain things that you do. But with this static group I'm in, it's like really chill. I really feel like everyone in it has the same mindset that we just want to brag, and if you screw up, we just kind of laugh about it and then we move on. And meanwhile, even brag and we just meme, like it's so fun. I love my static group so much. So if you're a static member watching this, just know I love raiding with you, and thank you so much for being a part of my static group, and thank you so much for raiding with me. With that being said, I said I only raid in the weekends. So what do I do in the weekdays after playing for 1 year? Actually, nothing. I mean, I don't go in the game. I mean, I go into Island Sanctuary because I've been looking forward to that so much, and I really enjoy Island Sanctuary, but I've kind of hit this spike of like, I mean, I hit the wall, so it's like I go there, collect things, and I'm out again. Because I kind of got a burnout at some point, and I started thinking about why I got a burnout, because I really love this game so much. And I found out it's because I kept doing the same shit again and again. Like when I logged into the game, I would log in, do rollouts, and then log out, and that was literally it. And what I loved about the game when I started, it was like everything was new and everything was like difficult, hard, and it was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? And then when I started doing the same shit over and over again, it was like, whoa, I've done this so many times before, but I will like do it in a new class, but it wouldn't even be that difficult. It would like be really easy to adapt to a new class. Except for White Mage, I really struggle as a healer, like oh my fucking god, if I don't play Sage, I'm actually fucked. So yeah, as I said, since I started doing the same shit over and over again, I started to eventually think, what haven't I done in this game? I mean, there's still a lot of extreme trials I haven't done, a lot of Savage content I haven't done, and I really want to do every content synced, because I've done Forden synced, I've done all the Realm Reborn extreme synced, except for the Kubify because it was way too hard. And I loved it. I mean, like, sync content is my favorite kind of content, so I'm really happy with the current Savage tier, and that's why I love it so much. But yet, there's still a lot more I haven't done. I haven't leveled my crafters, my gatherers, sightseeing luck, the hunting luck, and I haven't even dipped my toes deeply into the leveling zones like Boshan and Sadno. Like, I've done it, I've done the entire questline for Sadno and Boshan, but unlike my friend Edgy Knight, I haven't dipped my toes into dueling, and that seems really difficult, and he has expressed to me that it is difficult. And yeah, there's also Eureka. Me and my girlfriend got to halfway through to max level to get into the next Eureka zone, I believe, and I really want to try to do the Valdacian Arsenal, because I think that was the highest amount of players that could be in a piece of content together. So you see, there's still a lot for me to explore and do and see in the beautiful world of Eorzea. I mean, by the 12, I don't even have all the Aether currents. So I still can't fly in certain areas, and that's really annoying when I want to do maps or I want to do an S rank. I recently learned you can trade in your nuts. That sounds weird. You can trade in your nuts that you get from hunting for mounts? I never knew that. But with that being said, this is to many years to come, because I don't think I'll drop this game anytime soon. I mean, it's been 1 year and I still love this game as much as I do. Like, my love has been growing every day, because I still learn so many things about this game, and it's truly fascinating, and I love every part of this journey. So with that being said, it's been LunGreenStar, and I'm out.